Hello, everyone. My name is Lynne Spears, and I want to welcome you to our core group call tonight. Thank you, Kim Krause, for asking me to participate in this call. I'm excited. This will be a brief call telling you about Rodan and Fields dermatologists, where we've been and where we're going. Not only am I going to tell you about the amazing products that can change your skin, but this business that can change your life. But first, let me tell you a little bit about myself. I'm a lifelong Louisiana girl. I was a teacher for 22 years while raising three wonderful children, Brian, Brittany, and Jamie Lynne. Then I retired, and then for the next decade, I helped my children to reach their career goals. Then I decided, you know what, it was time for me to find something just for me. But it had to be something that was flexible and a bit of a challenge and that would afford my lifestyle, of course. Well, about perfect timing, my friend Jill, she invited me to a Rodan and Fields event at her house. But really all I heard was anti-age products because I am a fanatic on skincare. And I have been privileged to try the best of the best because my two famous daughters, they're given so many things all the time by companies. But anyway, that day when I went, I did hear more than just anti-age. I heard the science behind the products. I heard how smart and efficient this business model was. And then also what I liked so much was it was a virtual enterprise that I could do everything from an iPad and an iPhone. And needless to say, come on, I heard the names that struck a chord, Katie Rodan and Kathy Fields. Come on, everybody knows those names. And they have 93% of the acne market right now as we speak with Proactive. But they'd already hit a home run with this company, so I knew they were going to knock it out of the park with anti-age because the anti-age market is so much bigger. It's $3.2 billion and rising. So, and that's in the United States alone, people. So even with our depressed economy, by the way. So anyway, I decided to jump on board. And you know what? I'd remembered Brittany when she was asked to do the infomercials for Proactive. And she said, I don't want to be known for zit. So she missed that choo-choo train. So I said I wasn't going to miss this one with the anti-age. So anyway, I jumped in. I was rocking and rolling for about 4 or 5 months and doing really, really well, building my dream team, made my investment back. So Brittany calls me and says, Mom, I'm going on a 7-month world tour, and I need you to tutor the boys. So I did. But guess what? At the end of the tour, not only did I have the most amazing skin of my life, but my business had actually grown even bigger while I was away. So you know what? This proved to me this is a flexible, extremely lucrative, innovative virtual enterprise. This was a perfect fit for me. But you know what? You can have a good business, but if you want a great business, you have to have great products. So this brings me to the point where I'm going to tell you what makes us different from all the rest. First of all, we are multi-med therapy. That means that one product prepares the skin for the next product. That's how we really work. We have the best peptide scientist in the world, Tim Falla. He keeps us on cutting edge, he and his team of scientists. And you know what? We actually change skin. We don't just fix your skin for the day. We actually change your skin. And we're not just dusted with the key words, the key ingredients, peptides and retinol. We're perfectly formulated to actually make it work. And let me tell you, Dr. Rodan and Dr. Fields, they've learned after years of practice that there are 4 major skincare concerns that you didn't need to go to the dermatologist for. That's the whole premise of this company. We're bringing dermatology into the home. So therefore, they created 4 major skincare regimens to address these concerns. So I'm going to tell you about the 4 major skincare regimens that we have. First and foremost, of course, would be the Redefine. It actually reduces the visible signs of aging for noticeably firmer, smoother, and flawless-looking skin. And then we have the Reverse regimen. Its ingredients repair and protect the hyperpigmented. Also, it addresses dark spots, the sun damage, melasma. And then we have the Soothe, which we're very proud of, like the magic formula. We have a patented RFP3 peptide fabulous for sensitive skin, rosacea, eczema, even on babies. We've seen just miracles with this product. And then we have Unblemished, Cadillac of Proactive. This is for adult cystic acne. And, I could spend hours on end talking about how fabulous our products are. We have lots of ancillary products like body moisturizer, sunless tanner, an eye cream that's actually to die for. You feel sensation as soon as you put it on. You feel it tightening and firming. But you know what? You'll just have to go online with your sponsor. But anyway, now let me tell you what else we're doing with this company. We have entered the skincare tool market. And at this point, we're using the synergistic approach where we combine the tools with the proper regimens needed to bring about faster and improve the effectiveness of our regimens. So I'm telling you, we're doing it all right now. And our company, right now we're at triple-digit growth. It's like a global it really is like a global explosion. This is a great business right now to be in. I feel very blessed, and I know what we're going to be doing. It's incredible. We really are about to go global. And to speak of skyrockets, I want to introduce to you someone who is achieving extraordinary growth in an extremely short period of time. She is my partner and most and foremost my friend, Melanie Hebert Wyatt.
Hey, Lynn, thank you so much for that kind introduction, and hey to everybody else who's on the line tonight. I know that if you are on the line, you are either very interested in this opportunity like we are, or in the very least, I know that you're open-minded to learning more. And I'll be quite honest with you that when I was first approached about the business, I actually was not open-minded at all. It was about a little more than a year ago that Lynne called me and she said, Melanie, I have to tell you something. I really, really think you're going to be interested in what's happening with this company. And to give you a little background on me and where I was in life, I was a television news anchor and a reporter at the time, and I had done that for more than a decade. And I had a great job at the time. Actually, I was anchoring at a TV station in New Orleans, which is my hometown, WWL. It's a wonderful station. And I had no idea what was happening with Rodan and Fields. And frankly, when Lynne first called me, I just wasn't interested at all in hearing about the business opportunity. And personally, I'll be honest with you, I don't like Tupperware parties or trunk shows or makeup parties, because what happens is I end up spending money that I really didn't want to spend on things I really didn't want to buy just to show support for my friends. And I thought that's what this was, and I didn't want to make other people feel that way. But I was interested in the product for sure, and I trusted Lynne. You heard her say, Brittany and Jamie Lynn, they get sent all the best of the best products, and I knew she knows the best of the best. So I trusted her when she said this stuff was good, and I knew the doctors were extremely credible from their success with Proactive. So then I talked to a few of my friends who told me that they had actually tried the products, and they told me how awesome the products were, and they were actually interested. So it was around that time my husband said to me that he thought I should consider doing this instead of sending Lynne some of the customers that were my friends. He said, why don't you do this, and they could be your own customers. But honestly, I still wasn't that interested. However, two facts changed my mind in the beginning. First, I learned that there were no sales obligations. So literally every month, you are not required to sell anything. So there's no pressure, really. And the second fact that changed my mind in the beginning was that I learned that there was no inventory obligation. So we don't stock up on products every month and then have the pressure of trying to sell out of them or else you lose the money. So when I learned those two facts, I thought, well, I want to be on the product. I might as well get the wholesale price because I love a deal. And I knew that this would be a tax-deductible item. So basically, I could write off my skincare. And I ended up not having to go to the dermatologist at all. And at the time, I was seeing a dermatologist. So to me, it just made perfect sense to do this for the wholesale prices and the tax deduction only because I wanted to use the product. So I asked Lynne, I said, could I do this and keep it on the down low? I was still on air, and I said, I don't want to be schlepping products around town. I don't want it out there on Facebook. I just want to get the wholesale prices and the tax write-off. And I said, I think I have some friends who might be interested in ordering from me, but if not, no big deal. And she said, that's completely fine. She says, you're the CEO of your own company, and you can run it however you want. So that was my initial intention when I became open-minded to the idea. I was going to join very quietly. And then it all changed for me when I saw what was happening. I met Kim Krause out of Denver, who had been extremely successful in the company, and now her and her husband, Rick, have started this wonderful core organization. And if you're on the line tonight, you're connected to her in some way through a mutual friend. We all work together as a team. I understood residual income because actually in my career as a news anchor, I've traveled across country, and one of the jobs I had, I was a news anchor in one of the wealthiest cities in the country, Palm Springs, California, and I met a lot of wealthy people there who were self-made, not just born into money, but people who made their success themselves, and they didn't work Monday through Friday. I noticed a common theme, and actually, to be honest, they spent a lot of time on the golf course in Palm Springs. And where I come from, I really learned that you work for your money. You know, Monday through Friday or whatever your hours are. In my case, I worked crazy hours with the news schedule, but I didn't know that much about my money working for me, but I realized in Palm Springs that they all owned businesses or they had all made smart investments. And that's when I really started changing my way of thinking. And I used to tell my husband all the time, I said, we need to invent something and let it just make money for us. But really, honestly, you know, I was thinking about this all the time, and it costs a lot of money and a lot of time to start a business or to invent anything worthwhile, and that's really where this came in because it just really fell in my lap for me. It was an established brand that I could leverage. These are two of the most respected dermatologists in the world, and I didn't have to invest a lot of time or money, but I could start my own business. And clearly in Kim's case, you know, it's a perfect example of how your money can just work for you. I was still hesitant, though, and I suppose some of you are, about multi-level marketing. I didn't know much about it, but I always felt, honestly, that, and remember, I'm not the person you want to invite to your Tupperware party, and I just always felt that if I want to buy something, I go into a store and buy it. I don't like people coming at me trying to sell me something. So what really intensified my interest with this opportunity is actually when I learned that Rodan and Fields not only used to be sold in stores, but they did very well in stores, and actually they were the number one clinical brand in high-end department stores. And you guys might remember them, some of you, from Nordstrom, Bloomingdale, Neiman Marcus, are just to name a few. What happened was, to me, this sparked my interest because I'm thinking, why would a company that was so successful in department stores, why would they be in this selling channel? And what I learned was in 2002, Katie Rodan and Kathy Fields had actually launched the company, and their intention was dominating the anti-aging market in the same way as Lynne mentioned that they had dominated the acne market. And anti-aging is a much bigger market than acne. They could have, I mean, clearly they're doing well off of what they make with Proactive. So they were already set. They actually still practice dermatology out of San Francisco. And they saw four major concerns that people kept coming to the dermatologist for, and they felt that people did not need to visit a dermatologist to address these concerns. So they came up with this line of products and how it originated. It all revolved around anti-aging, but we addressed several different major skin issues. And they launched Rodan and Fields in L.A. Back in 2002, and within 6 months, Estee Lauder, we've all heard of Estee Lauder. Estee Lauder saw the quality of the product, and they actually offered to buy the company from Katie Rodan and Kathy Fields. And the doctor sold it, and for several years, Rodan and Fields was in those high-end department stores behind the Estee Lauder counter. But what they realized through their research was that it was what was making the product so successful was the word of mouth. It wasn't the fact that they were behind the department store counters, the Estee Lauder counters. It was the fact that people who were buying the product were hearing how good it was from people they knew. There's nothing stronger than word of mouth. And since it wasn't Estee Lauder necessarily that was making the product so successful, they decided that they wanted to offer people who were referring the product the opportunity to profit. And at that time, they did some studies, and they ended up having a much bigger vision for the company and what they could do than anything that they could ever achieve behind the Estee Lauder counters as a corporate brand. So they bought it back from Estee Lauder in an unprecedented move. We've never seen anything like this. And they are starting, you'll see, they are redefining the way business is done. And they came up with the most genius business model I've ever seen, okay? So knowing all of this, that's how I got off of the multi-level marketing idea that was bothering me when I saw what they were doing, and I knew that they had changed the trend with infomercials and Proactiv back in the 90s, and now you see that all the time. But back then, these are Stanford-trained dermatologists who were doing infomercials, and they were criticized for that by their colleagues. So, but now you see that all the time. They changed that trend. So knowing all of this and knowing now that, who I was at the time, what I was doing, I was a news anchor. I'll tell you that although, I really had the ideal job for what I did. I loved my job. I was anchoring at a legendary station. They also actually gave me my own talk show. So I had that in a primetime slot. And many of you, though, might be able to relate to the fact that sometimes when you've established everything you wanted to in your career, you find yourself in a position, especially when you want to have a family life, that you're making a lot of sacrifices to have a job that you always wanted. And in my case, I was working very demanding hours, and I was also trying to juggle being a wife and a mom to a newborn baby. And I finally just admitted to myself that the quality of life that I wanted with my family was lacking. It just wasn't there and wasn't possible because of my profession. And I just, at that time, I felt the sacrifices were no longer worth the rewards of having that job. So after a lot of prayer, I took a huge leap of faith, and I quit my job. I decided to move closer to my husband's job, which was actually 70 miles away from where we lived, so we commuted a lot during the day. And so I moved to Baton Rouge, and I didn't want any more demanding hours, and now I'm actually teaching a journalism class at LSU, which I thought would be more flexible, but now I still have to report. I'm not going to do that anymore because of what's happened with this business. And when I started my business with Rodan and Fields, some of you would say it was a horrible time for me, and I'm sure that some people on the line right now think, this all sounds great, but it's a bad time for me for whatever reason. Well, let me tell you where I was when I started my business. We were 2 weeks away from moving, so you can feel that pain. I was in the process of packing up a very big house, and I had a toddler at my leg. I refused to hire anyone to help me pack, so I was doing this all on my own while my husband was at work with a toddler at my leg. And obviously, that was a challenge. So my husband actually begged me to wait until we moved and we got settled in Baton Rouge before I started my business. But by then, I recognized how significant this opportunity was and how important the timing was. And I knew that the sooner I started, the better. So regardless of how busy I was, I enrolled anyway on October 11th. So at that time, I'll explain to you briefly, when you enroll, the way that you get started, and I mentioned that we don't have inventory that you carry every month, but the way that you started is you have to buy a kit. And I'll tell you, just like I tell everybody else, I'm not a professional kit seller, and we could care less what kit you buy. There are a variety of different options for people. I went with the most expensive kit there was, which is $9.95, okay? The reason why I bought that is because it was the biggest deal. I got $2,000 worth of products, and we haven't mentioned yet that our products come with a 60-day money-back guarantee. I mean, you could use everything as a customer. You could use everything in the bottles and return it within 2 months and get all of your money back. Well, that same guarantee applies for consultants. So when you buy into the business, you're actually buying products that you are going to be using so that you can speak with knowledge about the products from having used them. And you'll use these products to demonstrate maybe some of them are tools. As Lynne mentioned, we have a macro exfoliator, which does microdermabrasion on people that make them avoid having to go to the dermatologist and pay hundreds of dollars to get this done. So that's just an example. So the kit, to me, I just kind of wanted to get that great kit in the beginning. Well, I have to tell you that I spent the $9.95 on the investment, and within 6 weeks, in the middle of the move, remember I was packing up my house, I nearly tripled that, okay, in my first 6 weeks. In addition to that, I earned a trip to Napa Valley, all expenses paid, another trip to San Francisco. I just came back to Napa Valley. I'm going to San Francisco next month. And I had 3 nights at the Gaylord in Opryland for our annual convention, and I was at the top of my pay plan. This was all by the end of my first full month in the middle of a move. And all I did was call a few of my friends and say, hey, I think you should listen to this. Let me tell you what's happening. And they jumped on board, and the rest is history. And now I can tell you that the way that we really work the business, first of all, in addition to the fact that the products sell themselves, I don't know if you've ever seen our products on television or in magazines, but if you watch TV or you read magazines, you probably have. We get so much publicity that we don't pay for. And as a journalist, I recognize that important. And I know what it takes to get a product on TV. Our products have been featured on the Today Show. On Ellen DeGeneres most recently, they talked about the AMP-MD roller, but it's all over the media. So really what we are distributors. I mean, we don't have to advertise our product. I don't post on Facebook all the time to try to get customers. People know about our products. And so really that's a huge benefit to us to have the media on our side. We are all over the media. The top beauty editors consistently recognize Rodan and Field's products as among the top in the country. Okay, in addition to that, you don't have to be a dermatological expert. None of us I know of were. In fact, we have a team of dermatological nurses who work behind the scenes for our consultants and for our customers. So what happens is when you have someone who has a complicated skin issue, they can literally call that dermatological line, or actually the best way to do it is to send an email. And I've done this. You can take a picture of your face and email the nurse, and within 2 days the nurse will email you back a very specific regimen for you and give you solutions and work with you to get your skin right. And it happens. I mean, I've never seen that fail. It's an awesome tool that we have to help us as consultants and, of course, to help our customers as well. In addition to that, we have what we call the solution tool on our website. So whenever someone tells me they're interested in the product, I'll take them to my website or send them to my website, and it's basically a little 2-minute quiz on there, and it will ask people about their skin. Do you have oily or dry skin? What's your major skin concern? Do you ever break out? And so then it's basically an online consultation for you, and it will then recommend what products you should use. So this is a great way to get started because you don't have to have the pressure of knowing what these customers should use yourself. You can just take them through that little quiz on your website, which you get if you enroll as a consultant. In addition to that, the company provides a lot of training for us if you want it. Like I said, you are the CEO of your own company, so whatever you put into it is what you'll get out of it. But they provide all the resources, and especially on our core team as well. We have so many resources that we share among each other. And I mentioned I just got back from Napa Valley, and honestly, when I was in Napa, I met some of the smartest people I know who have become friends of mine, and they're all a part of our core organization, and we all work to help each other. So, for instance, I have a friend across the country who's interested in this opportunity, and I met another consultant through CORE who's meeting with my friend now face-to-face to help that person out to decide how to proceed with starting her own business. And I'm here to do the same thing for them, and that's one example of how we connect with each other. It's a huge benefit and a huge resource for us to be connected in that way, and Facebook has helped tremendously with that. So I have to say, in closing this up, that honestly, it wasn't about the money for me, but I mentioned a few of the things I had earned so far. But I have to be honest and let you guys know that I'm close right now to making the same salary that I made in my TV job, which was a very good salary, and like I said, I had crazy hours. So working part-time hours right now around my own life, and I don't even consider it work, because what I do is just how you recommend products to people. The mascara that I use, it was recommended to me by a friend. The diapers that I use on my little boy, Pampers Swaddlers, that's the thing to get. And I only know that because my friends told me. And so that's exactly how I look at this. All we do is refer the products to people or refer the business opportunity to people who we think, and truthfully, even really, really busy people find time to fit this in because they're around a lot of people. And, again, there are no obligations. And you should know, too, that even though you're in business for yourself, if you start with us, you're not in business by yourself. You know, I've already mentioned one example of how we work together as a team, but that comes in handy. It's very important with what we do. Now, the other thing you should know before we get off the phone is that we're not even outside of the United States yet, and this is something else that really appealed to me because when you look at the timing, remember how important I said the timing was. In August, we're launching in Canada. This is huge. Okay, when I first heard that, I'm thinking, I don't know anybody in Canada. How does that help me? But remember what I said about the business model. I may not know anybody in Canada, but the people I brought in to the business and the people they brought in, they know people in Canada. And I'm confident when we launch in Canada in August, I'll have business partners in Canada. And that's why right now is such a crucial time, because you want to focus on starting a business and building a business and sharing this opportunity within the United States to plant those seeds before we launch in Canada, so you can be in the same position we are, and we help you with that. And on that note, right now, just so you know, the last count, there were only about 50,000 consultants across the whole country. And the way I like to put that into perspective for people, since I'm from New Orleans, I say that doesn't even fill up the Superdome. You know, and there are ways, a lot of those people just have the same mindset that I had in the very beginning. Oh, I just want to do this for the wholesale prices. They don't even recognize the opportunity as we do now, and as I do now. And honestly, at the end of the day, I just can't imagine seeing how this is, seeing that this is passive income. Whatever you're doing in your full-time job right now, if you have one, think about doing that one day and then just getting paid off of it over and over for years. I mean, this is an investment that will pay off for your children. It's willable. You can sell it if you ever want to. I mean, it's a wonderful opportunity, and I can't ever imagine, now that I have this not only financial freedom, but this time flexibility that goes along with that I've never had before. I can't imagine going back to a full-time job ever. I mean, this is the way to go to me. So a lot of people start off doing this in addition to their full-time jobs, and then they end up seeing that as well. So we're here to help you. If you are worried about being too busy to start it, don't worry. That should be the last of your concerns. It's a huge opportunity, and I hope that you see it the way we do, and we'll definitely be in touch on Facebook if you do. And so right now I'll just ask that I hope you guys enjoyed getting more information, and the person who invited you on this call will be happy to give you more information. So I just ask that you circle back with them and let them know what you thought about this call. And I wish everyone the best of luck, and I hope you're able to experience life in the same way that we have now that we're a part of Rodan and Fields. Thanks, everybody, and have a good night.